Keep it locked. This is the Nate and Garrett Show. Talking current events, let the conversation begin. Everything from conspiracies, yeah, I'm talking aliens. Truth bombs that many never knew. We talking politics, everything up to the moon. Was the landing real or fake? I guess you'll never know. Let's talk. This is the Nate and Garrett Show, yeah. So lend me your ear, let's get it poppin'. You know that we keep it live, non-stopping. Educating, entertain, there ain't no doubt. After you listen, you'll be thinking way outside the box. From media dishonesty, never let them play you. Keep it authentic nowadays, many can't do. Unfiltered is how we do it. Make sure you stay locked in and tuned in, let's go. Had to come through and let you know. Keep it locked, this is the Nate and Garrett Show. Talking current events, let the conversation begin. Everything from conspiracies, yeah, I'm talking aliens. The Nate and Garrett Show.
And now, welcome to the Nate and Garrett Show.
Prepare yourself.
Prepare yourself to be transported to the furthest reaches of reality. As the hosts unravel the mysteries of the universe, the depths of the deep state, the truth hidden in plain sight, all while bringing you the news from this week. Please welcome your hosts, Nate and Garrett.
Garrett.
All right. Hey, everybody.
Hey, we're
Sorry
live.
we're late. Sorry we're late.
Yeah,
It's the first time I've been late in a long time, actually.
No kidding. And we're only 8 minutes late. That's not so bad.
Yeah, I think it was actually 5 when the music started and stuff. We should just do a screen countdown when we're running behind. But heck, it hasn't happened in so long.
Yeah.
My fault. I'm trying to upgrade my studio a bunch. And Amazon was late, and I thought I could get this done with ChatGPT's help, but I couldn't.
Well, you got a new microphone.
Got a new microphone.
We were having some technical issues, but we got it going. I think it's going to be good now.
Yeah, if it doesn't, let us know. I know it still sounds like kind of crap, but we got to fix for that too, we think. But we need some more time.
Yeah. We're
Exciting
making some
stuff.
improvements to the show, so things are good.
Well,
in other show-related news, we're back in the limited section of X again, like usual.
You know, they
are
good. There's a lot of good stuff about X, obviously.
Yeah.
They don't ban us so much for speech, even though they throttled us for a little bit for, we think, maybe hate speech when we're getting looked at. But man, they're just so nervous about bots that they're just,
oh my God, they're overzealous with their probable spam.
Very frustrating.
You know, I replied to people who replied to our posts or something, and I gave like a thumbs up or I agree. I did that like 5 times, and now they marked us as probable spam for 2 weeks again.
Did they?
So it encourages you not to engage with
which is what the exact
X.
opposite of what they said they want. And
I
we're
know.
supposedly exactly what they're looking for. We're original content creators. We don't do what all the other big sites do and just steal from the smaller guy and post it like
we're
their
making
own.
our own stuff.
A lot of times they'll crop out like the name of the show of whoever they're stealing it from and stuff. Have you seen that dirty stuff?
Yeah, there's tons of that on X.
There's a lot of grifting.
But you know what?
It's frustrating.
Yeah, we're just gonna do our best. Whatever, they can't stop
Yep.
us.
That's right. That's right.
Kenobi, I like watching you guys on Twitch personally.
You know what?
Yeah? Twitch has
You're
been
not
good
the
to
only
us,
one.
actually.
Yeah, you're not the only one that says that. It's the only problem with Twitch is it's just kind of a dying platform a little bit, it feels like. And maybe not. Maybe not, but I do think we should branch out a bit more. But, you know, a huge part of it is like we like the live interaction and stuff, where so much of kind of the broadcasting and the podcasting world is all about kind of replays. You know, it's not live, and it's the visual aspect too. There's not a whole lot of visual aspect, which I think our show would do fine without the visual aspect if we take out the videos, and because we're kind of describing a lot of what we're seeing. There's the audio of the videos and stuff.
No,
so I think that wouldn't be a big deal.
We need to play clips. Is that what you mean? We have to play clips.
No, I think we do. I think you can still just do audio only and still keep up with what we're talking about.
Yeah,
with the clips and stuff. But it's just fun having the live viewers and the comments and everything. You know, Rogan kind of went to the point where they used to show live and they don't anymore. Now they record it in the studio and clean it up and cut it up and post it a day or two later and stuff. But the live part of it's the funnest part by far, I think.
Yeah. It's
but it just seems that a lot of the podcasting stuff, other than Twitch, isn't set for that. And hopefully that we see X go more towards that. But man,
I think it will. X is going to improve a lot in the next 3 years, and it has some big improvements to make.
I do think that Elon just spread too thin. You know, it's hard to be CEO of 2 companies.
Yeah.
Let alone 4, and now doing the Doge thing.
Right. It's hard to like fix the government, bring robots, create AI, make self-driving cars. Yeah, he's doing a lot.
Yeah.
But I have high hopes for X. It definitely has some problems.
Yep.
And it's screwing us over a little bit.
Big time. Yeah, just keeps setting us back over and over.
Yeah. What can you do?
Yeah. But we're here.
Yeah.
Nice to see you guys. We have some fun stuff to cover today. We should get into it. Easter. Did you have a good Easter, by the way?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Do you see a lot of the? We talked about the shift in kind of global consciousness of getting away from more towards free speech, more towards sovereignty. We talked about that over and over. There's a lot of those same people that are saying they're seeing a switch, a swing back to like spirituality and religiousness and stuff.
Yeah, dude, I think that's a big thing. I think that's definitely happening in the world. I think Christianity is, making a comeback. And
it would be interesting.
I think that's good. I think it's good for the world and for the people.
It would be interesting to see the numbers on that. Because I do think that deep down, I've said over and over too, it seems like if you don't have any sort of like a religion, it seems to get your psyche or whatever seems to want to fill it with something.
Yeah. And then it turns out the psyche will fill it with evil bullshit.
Apparently. And I think everyone could see just how sick, not only just spiritually, obviously mentally, but also physically. Like everybody is just super sick right now.
Yeah.
Everyone's stressed to the gills. They're eating just crap food. I mean, how many, we make fun of it. Leftists just eating SSRIs like it's candy.
Yeah.
Just the culture of everybody should go to everyone should see a therapist. That is just not a healthy society. And then we have somebody finally stepping up and saying, we need to look at why everyone's so sick and why autism rates are exploding.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I don't understand the pushback on that. The only thing I could think of is they're just going to push back on everything Trump.
Yeah, it's that. And, the party of science doesn't want any kind of scrutiny into vaccines, even though it may not be caused by vaccines. I think it's more likely caused by, people eat. How many credit cards of plastic a year do people supposedly eat? Yeah.
We know that a lot of the food dyes cause behavioral issues. If it's causing behavioral issues, we already know it's already affecting something neurologically in the body.
Pesticides.
Yeah, pesticides. We know they know
There's
why the bees are dying out. They just won't tell you.
There's lots of confounding factors. It could be a combination of all these things.
We talked about my fear when Trump was like, did we get John McCain? Is he just going to go back to any other president? And I think now it's obviously not. But my frustration with this, and he kind of turned him. He had the all-star team. We got Kash Patel, we got Pam Bondi, we got RFK, we got Lee Zeldin, and they're showing up to like UFCs to like thunderous applause and crowds.
Yeah.
Other than, let's take Trump out of that and probably RFK, they all suck ass. They've all done a terrible job.
Yeah, they haven't done anything.
Pam Bondi has been terrible. Your Epstein files release was such a joke. You couldn't have done that worse. And now we're here with no answers. Kash, you haven't done shit. You said day one you're turning the FBI building into a museum to the deep state. What have you done?
Yeah, it's a good point, dude. Like, I'm disappointed, especially about Epstein. It looks like we're never going to tell us, what the
JFK files. They made a big deal out of that. And what they always do, they release them, and everybody that's not retarded goes, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah,
and they go, "Oh, well, those aren't the real ones." Even though we told you they were the real ones. The real ones are coming. Give us a couple of months.
Yeah.
No.
I'm so tired of waiting on being...
I sent you a link where they admitted that the FBI and everyone is right now destroying evidence of the JFK files and the Epstein files. And they're acting like, Oh, we don't know what to do. You know what to do. You guys are the ones in power. You guys are the ones supposed to be the dream team, and you're failing. You're failing miserably, and you're just giving us a bunch of nothing shit.
Yep.
And
acting like you're doing
you bring
something.
in libs of TikTok up and hand them a folder of shit that's already been out forever, and you're acting like, look, we're transparent. You suck. Pam Bondi sucks. Cash Patel sucks.
Yeah,
hopefully it changes.
They've fumbled hard.
Hopefully it changes.
Yeah, hopefully they come
it's
through. That
terrible.
would be great.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And I'll
And
be
I
the
hate-
first one to say thank God, you know.
And I hate how the MAGA movement acts like they're still superstars. They're doing so good. They're not.
Right. No,
They're doing
no.
terrible. RFK seems to be kind of like
Oh, you cut out, Garrett.
here now.
Yeah, there you're back.
The Lee Zeldin, also for the EPA, I think he's kind of like an unsung hero right now. He's the one that says we're rolling back a lot of these nonsense regulations to get pumping, basically. I think he's great.
Okay.
I think
Doge is
RFK
great.
Yep, Doge is great.
Thank God for Doge. There's some great things happening in this administration. Securing the border, these
Yep.
deportations.
Yeah,
I like.
Tom Homan's great. Tom Homan's, he's
Tom
great.
Homan's great.
And
But
I'm
Pam
saying that
Bondi's
as a
following.
guy that
failing.
was a open borders guy 2 years ago. Tom Homan's great.
Yeah, yeah. So there are some good things in the administration for sure that are really
Mm-hmm.
great, but there's some that are fumbling. And
Yeah,
Pam
and they've
Bondi
gotta
and the
get
FBI.
going.
Yeah. Let me read this comment from Kenobi. He says, "I think what happened today is a good start for Catholics getting back to religiousness." What happened? I don't know. Yeah. Do you know, Garrett?
Yeah, Pope died. Can you hear
the
me?
Pope died.
Yeah. the Pope
I was
died.
actually going to kind of guess that, but I
Yeah.
hadn't seen that. But I
Just
I slept till like
yesterday.
4 p.m., so I'm a little behind on the news.
You
for
know, it's
today.
kind of. I feel like it wasn't as big of a news as it should be. The biggest thing was he met with JD Vance yesterday, and so of course that just has the left in an uproar. But only that, now they're kind of saying like, oh, he didn't even want to meet JD. JD put pressure on him, and now he's dead.
The Pope met with JD yesterday, and he's
Yeah,
dead
yeah.
today. Did JD kill him? Is JD Catholic?
I don't believe so.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
JD Putined him.
But now there are, that Pope position is a pretty political position, especially lately.
Oh, you cut out again, dude.
There's a bunch of almost nervousness
Okay.
about who the next Pope's going to be. There's some people saying like, oh, we're going to see a fascist Pope next. And then you got the other side saying, oh God, we're going to see an open borders Pope, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of nervousness
Look
right
how
now.
political the Pope
I
is.
know.
Yeah,
Yep.
whatever. Speaking of who's doing good and who's not and stuff, and you mentioned this, I think RFK is doing good.
Yep, no arguments there. He already, he's going
The
after
food dye
artificial
things,
dyes
yes.
next. Yep.
And I think he's going to go after some big stuff like the pharmaceutical
claims-
industry. And
Boy, they went after him. Yeah, true. They went after
Obesity.
him big time. I have a speech if we want to get into him right away.
Yeah,
But he
let's do it.
basically had a speech. Do we want to do that really quick? Just the Easter stuff first.
Sure.
It's quick. It's funny.
Okay. Let me see.
Look at this. Can you make that picture bigger, by the way, for everybody?
Let me check here.
So Biden came out of hiding this week. Did you see that? He did his first speech back. Did you see that speech he gave?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Man,
I
I'm
made
like, we should
fun
have
of it.
brought that. How funny was that?
It was just what
Just-
you'd expect him
Biden
fumbling
just
through.
can't talk about race, and he can't do it eloquently ever.
Yeah.
He's got a history of making some. Where if he's a Republican, he would have been canceled numerous times over that.
Dude.
Does this picture look weird to you at all?
Oh, my God. I can't
this is-
believe they did
This
this.
is he tweeted us out from his account, basically saying, "Happy Easter" from the Bidens.
What? Look,
Yes.
they just clearly photoshopped him into the back
but-
there.
yeah, look at that. That
There's-
is him standing at some point with a full suit. And they just figured, okay, we'll cut him off at the waist. He's not sitting on the ground. He's not kneeling. He wouldn't be able to get up.
This is the most obvious Photoshop I've ever seen. That's so funny that they just jammed him in there.
Look at the hand. Look at that. The guy that he's supposed to be standing next to. but way
they've got
behind.
the hand behind
They
him.
like photoshopped a hand on him.
Why? Like his arm can't be
know.
doing that, by the way.
Is he standing? Do they have like a hole in the in the porch that he's standing in?
Yeah. How funny is this photo?
But how weird? Like,
especially to
obviously those other
pretend like it's
people-
real.
like where was he? That's his family.
We wish
We're at Easter.
this is from his account. Whatever.
Like,
People got to be calling it out, right? Retard Finder says they had to Photoshop the retard in. So
yeah, was he
sad.
sleeping? Is he in memory care? Is Q right? Is he really in Guantanamo?
This
Like,
is
what's going
great.
on here?
Is your forearm 4 foot long? With your arm at that angle? Yeah. His forearm would have to be.
Does his grifter family have no need for him anymore? So now they have him in a memory care ward somewhere.
No,
now
no
that they
kidding.
can't grift off him and steal power from him.
Well, that's hilarious. And his
Yeah,
face.
his face.
Yeah.
It looks like they're out on like a cloudy day and he's got like a blazing sun right in his eyes.
Yeah. That's pretty funny.
Do you remember last Easter when they did not like to ever have him out in public. Do you remember last Easter when they have to have him out for public? They had to have like his handler in the
Easter
rabbit
bunny suit.
I
Yeah.
sent you that just because we weren't live when that was happening. We can only show that too.
Let me
Like they
see.
need to find out who is in. Man, did not come through. Ah, well, it's not that. Do you know what might be more interesting? Pull up. I wish Trump posted to X. It'd be easier to pull it up. Did you see Trump's Happy Easter tweet?
Yeah, I did. Happy Easter.
We almost got a
Even
photo
to liberals. Like it was an attack. Happy Easter.
He just went on his all caps rants that he usually does with his tweets.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
great.
Kenobi makes the point that last Easter, that was when Biden declared Easter trans
visibility.
on Easter.
Remember he had
And
all
then
the
they acted
trans
like,
in?
why are you offended?
They had all the transes in, and then one of them showed his man boobs. Remember that?
I don't actually remember that. But
Oh man, yeah, one of the trans guys that had top surgery thought it would be a good idea to take his top off.
yeesh,
I know.
whatever. Am I searching for? Oh yeah, Trump's Easter tweet. We can probably find it on X.
Yeah, if we can't find it right away, it's just more just.
It was funny.
Man, some of his tweets are just the fact that he's a statesman and he tweets these out are really funny to me.
Well,
really.
that's the thing that's so true as far as like we'll never have another president like Trump.
Never.
Like JD
Like
Vance,
Vance
he's
isn't
not
gonna
going to
do
do
this.
this. No. I don't. We'll never see this again.
There's a
honestly.
reason why, like during the debates, he's making those faces and giving people nicknames and attacking them and stuff. Where JD was more like the calm, collected, and
This is so funny. Happy Easter. Let me see if we got this showing. Yep. Here's Trump's address to the nation on Easter tweet. Happy Easter to all, including the radical left lunatics who are fighting and scheming so hard to bring murderers, drug lords, dangerous prisoners back to the U.S. Yeah. So it's mostly like a attack.
Happy Easter. Also to the weak and ineffective judges and law enforcement. I mean, this is such a long, rambling tweet. We can't even read it all on air.
Yeah, but it's funny.
It's great.
Yeah.
And
Let's
then
see
the
what this.
Democrats,
Oh,
their official Twitter account.
Yeah, let me
Trump's
hide our
White-
webcams just so people can read this. Trump's White House is using 30,000 real eggs worth, over 15 grand for the Easter eggs. Meanwhile, Americans dyed potatoes instead of eggs this Easter to save money.
All right. What part's more? Do you know a single person that dyed potatoes instead of eggs? That doesn't
Of course
exist, right?
not. No.
That would be more expensive
a lie.
anyway. Don't you think a dozen potatoes probably cost more than a dozen eggs?
No, I don't know. Probably not, actually, but it's...
You know, we get that eggs cost more than they did Trump's first go around. They're also less than when Trump took over. But also, they're actually like 15,000. Like, which one is it? Is Doge cutting a program that's billions of dollars not worth the time because it's too small to cut? but $15,000 for eggs?
15 grand, yeah.
Like Barack Obama had more hot dogs than that flown in from
Yeah.
Chicago for his parties.
No
He
kidding.
had $60,000 worth of hot dogs.
Yep, and Newsom spent more than that on a...
$60,000 in hot dogs.
Yeah, Newsom spent more than that on breakfast with some people during COVID when he wasn't supposed to be at the restaurant.
It's funny that the Democrats now care about spending when it's $15,000.
Also, you made the point last show, I think, that they created that egg shortage basically on purpose.
Yeah,
they murdered
chickens.
Yeah, they murdered 15 million chickens specifically to raise the price of eggs real quick. I really believe that.
Yep. If the meme was like cost of potatoes rather than cost of eggs, they would have went and salted all the potato fields.
Yeah. Hey, I've got a clip from Trump. Let's see. Okay, watch this. Just a minute. I don't know how long it is, when we should start it, but let's start it here.
You also said that you're in no rush. Americans are seeing prices rise. They're seeing it on their bills. How long can they expect that pain to last?
So they've already seen it get much better because if you were truthful, which you're not, I know you very well, you have gasoline that hit $1.98 yesterday in a couple of states. You have gasoline's way down. The price of oil has dropped substantially. The price of groceries are substantially down. The price of eggs. When I came in, they hit me with eggs. I just got there. I was here for 1 week, and they started screaming at me, eggs have gone through the roof. I said, I just got here. I was there for 7 days, and I hear that eggs have gone through the roof before I got there. And they were screaming at me, the press.
Fake news.
Fake news like you're fake. And the fake news is screaming at me like about eggs. I said, I've only been here. This is my 7th day. And they were right. They went up 87%, and you couldn't get them. They said, you won't have eggs for Easter, which is coming up. Happy Easter, everybody. You won't have eggs for Easter. And we did an unbelievable job. And now eggs are all over the place, and the price went down 92%. And our commissioner
Not
of
quite,
Agriculture,
but
Brooke, has done a fantastic job.
So there he kind of addressed it. And dude, how ridiculous was that? The fake news being like, oh, no one can ever eat an egg again. Trump ruined it.
And then we saw prices starting to go down. We saw oil going down. We saw eggs going down.
Yeah.
And we saw inflation big time dipping, even though we were told inflation is going to go crazy. And it was bad news then. So then the Democrats and Reddit and everyone's going, no, this is actually bad. Even though we were attacking him about the price of food instantly, this is bad because that means the economy's slowing down now.
Yeah.
He's just...
They have it both ways every time, dude.
Yep.
And they never go back and say they were wrong, ever.
No.
They never go, oh, actually, Trump's doing great on eggs.
Yep.
So anyway... did we cover Easter?
Yeah, I think we did. Let's get into do you have our first Maha links that we haven't gotten into in a while yet that we keep saying we're going to do?
The snap?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's start there too.
Okay, hang on.
Before we get into the autism things, I have a feeling the autism things is gonna be a while.
Yeah, good point.
So for people that don't know, this is the one we've been talking about for weeks.
Yeah, we've been trying to cover this for weeks.
And it's a good one because it gets into the grifters on the right on Twitter too. And it gets into a lot of this. It gets into just ineffective government. So people that don't know, SNAP, traditionally food stamps is the big one. Food stamps, you could buy basically anything. You could go and get junk food. You could go get lobster. You get anything you want with those. And it's kind of a lot. Like, I don't know if you've ever been on it, but it is a lot. There's like,
I've never been on it, but I've seen that like people who are on it have $3,000 a month and shit in food stamps.
You remember like when you're in college, you're getting by with, I don't know, $30-$40 a month in groceries and stuff. When we went to grad school, you're eligible for a while for food stamps, and just a graduate kid, they would give like almost $400 a month. And that was, 15 years ago. So now I'm sure it's way more. But at the time when you're trying to spend $30-$40 a month or a week, and you see this person getting like $400 or $500, you're like, oh my God, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But now they're saying, hey, there has to be healthy food. And boy, is there some pushback on that. Just because, which is kind of ridiculous that there's pushback on that. Because the whole point of food stamps is supposed to not be, here's your whole, covering all your groceries. It's supposed to make sure you're getting the proper
Right,
nutrition.
healthy. Your kids
Yeah,
are
and
eating
it's supposed
healthy,
to just
good
be
food.
a supplement to it. It's not supposed to be the whole thing anyway.
Yeah. Unfortunately, stupid Americans just buy cupcakes and soda with their food stamps, you know.
Yeah, and there's a funny amount of pushback, and it obviously the less pushing back just because it's cutting any benefit. Trump administration's for it, but we saw a lot of idiots on the right push back on it, and their idea was, well, who's the government to tell you what you could buy? The government's not telling you what you could buy with your own money.
Right.
Go ahead, buy whatever though you want. They're obviously just saying you're not going to use taxpayer money to feed your kids shit.
Right. They're limiting the scope of the welfare program that's taxpayer money, not your money.
You know, there's that old story. I don't know if it's true or not, but there was a family that had a pet dog, and
Oh, you cut out, Garrett.
no, can you hear me right now?
Yep. Start back at the pet dog.
Okay, so there's a family that had a pet dog, and they gave the pet dog, instead of water, they gave it Mountain Dew, and instead of food, they gave it Cheetos. So it was big and fat. And someone called the authorities, and they came in, and they found that not only was that dog fat, the kids were fat because they were drinking the Mountain Dew and eating the Cheetos. Well, they took the dog, but they left the kids.
Yeah, yeah. How true is that?
So
How
it's
true
kind
is
of
that?
like, yeah, so it's kind of like also, well, we know that this shit's very unhealthy for a dog, but our taxpayer money is just feeding this shit to kids all the
Yeah.
time.
And dude, the obesity epidemic in the United States has spread to children. Like
Oh, yeah.
6-year-olds are 200 pounds or whatever. And I mean, it's a crime. It's legit child abuse.
It's obviously
terrible.
related to the explosion that we're going to talk about of just chronic diseases in kids
Yeah.
and stuff too.
And all just there's so many things playing into that.
So it's literally called Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. That's what
There you
that's
go.
what
Thank you, Miggles. Miggles, yep.
Well, you would think
Supplemental nutrition. Good
you
point.
would think that the party of science and just the government programs that take our tax money, tell us how to live healthy, the ones that have been nailing it because Americans are so healthy right now. Never been healthier,
Yeah.
even though more of your tax money than ever before goes to these government health associations more than ever. So, of course, Americans are healthier than ever, right?
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you?
You would think so.
Highest cost in healthcare in any nation in the
So, I
world.
mean, how
So
could,
we
like,
must be the healthiest.
Yeah, the Heart Association, they got to be for this, right? They know that soda and Cheetos aren't good for kids, right?
Right, of course.
They're the ones that gave us the food guide pyramid that had grains and bread on.
Yeah. You cut out again. This is what was happening with Garrett's mic. It's cutting out for some reason. Hopefully it comes back. So far it hasn't. But we're going to play this. Let's play this snap video here.
I can never be surprised in this building, but for the American Heart Association to be against this bill.
SB 379 seeks to remove soda, candy, potato and corn chips, and cookies from the list of items eligible for purchase with SNAP.
My name is Alec Puente, and I'm the Director of Government Relations for the American Heart Association. I'm here to testify today in opposition to Senate Bill 379.
I would encourage you to look at what it restricts.
The Heart Association is concerned
Okay, I can
about
hear.
potential impacts of this bill on participation and population health. Imposing nutritional restrictions will interfere with the primary function of SNAP, reducing hunger, without reducing root causes of chronic disease.
I'm here because I want to support the children on this program and protect them from the chronic disease that sugar will lead them to develop. I actually advocated for this bill in Arizona and was shocked by the big soda companies sending their own person to come and advocate for the fact that there's no correlation between soda consumption and obesity, which is just a straight up lie.
Yeah, of course.
So what they're saying
I
there,
often say
sorry,
that I
I'm doing a bunch of stuff at the same time. But what they're basically saying there is the American Heart Association is against this bill to make SNAP only healthy foods.
They
just saying-
came and advocated against it.
Yeah, and they're saying how ridiculous this is.
Yeah.
And obviously we know what that is. They're being paid off by
For
Coke
sure.
and Pepsi.
Yeah.
You know, go ask Gronk real quick. What % of Coke sales are from SNAP? I bet it's not nothing.
Dude, I looked this up, or I saw this before, and it was like 25%.
Holy cow.
Which goes to what Kenobi says here. He says corporations are going to fight tooth and nail to keep their shit food available on food stamps.
How terrible. How terrible that our government, the American Heart Association, like, if they're serious about cleaning this out, they should say, which one of you advocated for this bill? Tell me why. Okay, you're out. Tell
Yeah,
me
no
Not
kidding.
only that, they should check their bank accounts and say, would you have any extra payments coming in? Type of thing. Because there's no way they're not paid off on this.
Yeah, and I guarantee that's what's happening. The big food companies are paying people to come advocate to keep their horrible food on SNAP.
Yep. And they're already taking a beating from Ozempic and stuff like that. So this is just a kind of double whammy to this.
Yeah. Let's see. I
But-
just asked Grok here. Let's see what Grok has to say. Okay, piece it together. A 2016 report said that SNAP households, that's how much they spend on it. $4 billion.
Bottom.
2011.
Bottom. You find the answer.
Okay.
Jesus. So almost 10%.
4 to 13%
Up to
of
13%.
Coca-Cola's sales is tied to SNAP.
And you know what's crazy?
So that's
about
billions
that
of
is
dollars.
A lot of times you cut off 10%. You're cutting off when it comes to like profit. You're cutting off sometimes all of your profit. You're cutting off way
Right.
more than 13% of profit. So they're probably panicking, and they know they could buy these guys off pretty cheap. There's no defensible way that the American Heart Association should be for this.
Yeah, no kidding. It's such a common sense thing.
It's the same thing. Our food guide pyramid was shit. You know, the sugar industry paid off a lot of sides of politicians to say that it was fat that was causing people to have heart disease and fat, and it wasn't. One of the most shocking things about that is you think that would be a lot of money to buy that, and apparently it's not. They'd have to spend that much money on lobbyists for them to come out and say that.
Yeah,
It's pretty crazy.
We brought that up a few shows ago, how shocking it is whenever I hear about like a senator getting a bribe and it's for like 30 grand.
Yeah.
I think
Speaking
buying off these scientists and these
Dude,
advocates is cheap.
Do you know what's even apparently cheaper is buying off a Twitter conservative Twitter user has a lot of followers.
No kidding, dude.
You got that pulled up?
Yeah, I do. Let me pull that up. This goes with the SNAP thing that we've been trying to get into. And it's, let me see, it's this. First, I'll show this. So let me make sure. Yeah. Nick Sortor, he's a big account on X, about a million followers.
He's growing big. Yep.
He says, okay, exposed. The Influenceable, the company cutting big checks to influencers on behalf of Big Soda. Over the past 48 hours, several large, supposedly MAGA-aligned influencers posted almost identical talking points convincing you that Maha was out of line for wanting soda purchases with food stamps, or for not wanting soda purchases with food stamps. Some even slimily invoked President Trump as an emotional manipulation tactic, referring to his Diet Coke button.
All right.
Okay.
Before
so, yeah.
we get into the actual, do you know what's a little bit crazy about this? So this is the supplemental food program where they're supposed to keep you from starving. We don't want starving kids. We don't want families dying of hunger, right?
Yeah, it has nutrition in the name.
So riddle me this. Why are they able to buy diet soda? Because it's got 0 calories.
Oh,
You
yeah,
can make
good
the
point.
argument.
It's
You can make an argument, it's
supposed to
childhood
reduce
obesity
hunger, right?
childhood obesity is a problem, and we don't want sugary drinks. Well, I agree. Let's not let them buy any sugar drinks. But it's a little bit. It's even more disgusting to me that here's some money so you don't starve. Okay, I'm gonna go buy fake food that has no calories.
0
in
calorie
it.
food.
That's not gonna extend me at all when it comes to a calorie deficit,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
There's something extra fucked
stupid
up
about
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
here's
look at this. These are some big names.
Yeah, Clown World account. Okay, Eric Doherty, not Jerome Powell, and Ian Miles Chong.
That one is maybe, he's supposed to be a reporter too, not just like a online personality. You got to go and read Eric Doherty's. Pull that one up and just read it.
I will, but I just want to
Okay.
point out that like This is shit that we have laughed at the left for doing.
Yes.
Where they'll say
The
like the same
senators.
thing. They get a script and then they pretend like it's their opinion.
Yep.
You know, which is disgusting. And so they all tweet out like, you know, how dare the government overstep and try to not let people buy soda with Snap? Even President Trump likes Diet Coke. You know, it's so lame, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so Nick Sorter tweeted that out, calling these people out on it. And then here's Eric Doherty. He's got about 400,000 subscribers. And he says, yeah, that was dumb of me. Massive egg on my face. In all seriousness, it won't happen again.
You know,
so he owned up to it at least.
But you sell out your integrity. It's pretty hard to get that back.
No
Guess how much
kidding.
he got? How much would it take? So this is a guy
He must have got
that just has a lot of influence and supposedly growing. And he's the guy that's out there pushing a bunch of Trump stuff. And Trump gets elected and he's got an audience of millions. How much do you think he got paid?
It's got to be like at least 50 grand, right? At least 100 grand to sell yourself out.
$1,000. But you know what? I'm going to pick
so
on
pathetic,
him.
dude.
I'm going to pick on him. Read his tweet. I know it's kind of long. Just start reading some of it because it makes a bigger point that I want to make.
Okay, it says important.
Hey, he's got the siren and it's all caps.
We cannot allow Make America Healthy Again messaging to be used to force needy Americans into not buying certain things.
Not forcing them to not buy anything.
All right. Some officials in D.C. are working on trying to prevent Americans on SNAP from using those benefits to purchase any soda. Remember when New York City Democrats tried to prevent people from buying and consuming soda? It backfired big time. President Trump literally has a Diet Coke button in his Oval Office. Let people think and decide for themselves. Anyone can consume soda and be perfectly fine in moderation, unless we are just going to ban every food with sugar in the SNAP for Americans.
So there's so much to unpack here, but I'm just going to say the broad picture. Do you know how you have somebody that grows up a certain sect of Christianity? They're born there. They're raised there. They don't question it. They die. And let's say in some world, it's the right religion. They were born and died into the right religion.
Mormon.
Luckily for them. Yeah, luckily for them.
They were luckily
It's almost
Mormon.
like this. Why is Eric Doherty? Obviously, he can't think for himself because those are really bad arguments. Is he conservative just because his parents were? And then when he started posting, he kind of just was more in that conservative bubble. Like if he was born to like a liberal parent and was in the liberal echo chamber, is this guy a liberal? I'm thinking probably because obviously he's very hard up for money or he doesn't have very strong convictions because if somebody came to you and said, hey, Nate, how ridiculous that they're trying to tell people how to spend your money. You would say it's not their money. It's taxpayer money.
Yeah.
They can buy whatever they want. But he has the alarm and
Good
the all
point.
caps saying how bad that is. Is this guy even a really conservative?
Yeah. Or is he just a shill who will just put out, if you give him $1,000, he will apparently tweet anyone's fucking point of view as though it's his own, you know?
$1,000.
Yeah, that's so pathetic, dude.
That is terrible.
I mean, he sold his integrity for $1,000.
Yeah, but I mean,
and so
shame on
did
these
Ian
guys.
Miles Chong.
That one kind of shocks me even more. And I mean, I'm picking on Doherty just because how just ridiculous that is.
Yeah. I
But
think
yeah,
it's
how
really
much these
sad,
guys-
you know?
Like, I would be more understanding if we're talking $10,000 or $20,000.
Now, I don't know who this kid is. He looks like a young man, assistant news director for Florida Voice. I hope that he takes to heart his thing here where he says it won't happen again and he's embarrassed about it. But it's like, yeah, don't sell out your opinion.
Yeah.
You know, don't be a shill for
And I kind of think
corporations.
that they gave him $1,000 and he probably looked at this going, you know what? I agree with that anyway. So I'll tweet it out because I agree with it because I don't think the government should be telling you what to do. That's like an 85, 90 IQ type of idea. Like any little digging beneath the surface goes, this is all ridiculous.
Right.
This isn't what a conservative would think.
Right. What kind of welfare program? First, we should be against that anyway. But
Yeah,
if we're
really.
gonna be for it, it
Yeah.
ought to have some good behind it and not
Yeah.
just buy cupcakes.
Yeah.
You know, there's all these problems that are obvious.
Yeah. Before we get into the actually RFK thing, I sent you someone else from the Institute of Health talking to the media. Did you open that one?
Okay, let me find it. But first, let me read these
Okay.
comments from Kenobi. Well, I don't know if they're displaying or not, but anyway.
Yeah, they're not. But,
okay. In Walmart and all the companies who carry the products, it's so engraved in our system, it's disgusting. Yeah, Walmart's probably funding some.
Like I said, they're probably
pushback.
already a little bit nervous about the economy kind of slowing down anyway. Rising food prices. Now we see these GLP drugs that are already hurting a lot of junk food companies anyway, because the fatties aren't buying a bunch of junk food.
They're finally able to not buy it.
Yeah,
It's
that's
fighting
actually
their
how's
craving.
that kind of funny. There's a drug that comes out that makes you digest food slower and eat more moderation, and these companies are
Oh, you cut out. You
a
cut
bunch
out. There you go.
scientists. Okay, they hired a bunch of food scientists to basically make foods that are immune to the GLP drugs. Isn't that a little bit Black Mirror?
Weird. No
What's
way.
What's that going to do when a 7 or 8 year old kid eats that? If an adult with the GLP drug, if it overrides their reward system, what's that going to do to a 7-year-old?
Oof, that's creepy, dude. That's
I don't know what I think about that. I think that might be kind of evil.
it's certainly evil if they're making things that
They're basically, yeah, they're saying like that's no different than like a cigarette company going, man, we need to make a way more addictive cigarette.
Yeah.
Because people are getting off of cigarettes because they're being healthy. So we need to make one way more addictive.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think
They shouldn't
think
they
that
shouldn't be
they
able
sh-
to do that.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way.
And it's like chemical. They're like, fucking with chemicals and stuff. Who knows what they're doing?
Yeah. So I'm kind of thinking that the government might need to step in on that one.
That's
as we
scary,
just
dude.
Beat those guys up for government intervention. But yeah, I kind of think that's not right.
Dude,
It's almost like too, you see those times there's a bar that if you bring in your 10-year sobriety chip that you get for being 10 years sober, they'll give you a free drink if you turn that in. It's something disgusting about that to me.
Well, I think that's mostly a myth. But,
You think so?
that bars
I would
actually do
find
that. Bars don't want to, or maybe they do want to, but they don't because it'd be such bad publicity.
Yeah, I bet we could find one that it actually did it.
Yeah, maybe it's happened, but mostly it probably doesn't happen much because it'd be so much pushback to that, I think.
But I think it's as bad. As
Yeah,
these
but it
companies are
is that
really
kind of thing, and they are
making
doing
a food
that.
that addictive. They already make it super addictive.
Yeah. Oh, you keep cutting out, man.
God dang it.
Yeah, it's
You hear
with the
me now?
mic. Yeah, you're back.
But yeah, they just put in corn syrup and everything. That used to be enough. It's just to hide sugar in foods. But now they're going to modify foods to make it even more addicting.
Yeah, that's horrible. I can't remember what I was going to say about it, but let me read this too from Kenobi. They can buy fucking Red Bull too, and all candy and garbage food. The only thing you can't buy is pre-made food, fast food restaurants. It's absolutely insane. Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of fast food places will get around that by basically giving you cold food. And some places even have like something you could throw it in to warm it up quick. But since they sold it to you cold and you could go on your own and use their shit to warm it up, you could use your SNAP benefits for that. There's stuff like that too.
Oh, dude, I remembered what I was going to say about the fact that they're trying to make these things more like addictive beyond the prevention from the Ozempic and stuff. It's similar to. Oh man, I fucking forgot again. I forgot what I was going to say again. Yeah, it's right on the. I can't remember what it was. Screw it. Okay.
All right.
What was
So I wanted to
bring
get
up?
into that because we've been waiting on that for so long to bring that up.
Oh yeah, I'm glad we
But it's
mentioned
just
all that.
ridiculous. It shows how corrupt government is. And then we have like the American Heart Association coming out against this bill. And obviously Big Soda is buying people off I don't even know if it passed or not. We should probably check it out. But now RFK's on a lot of heat because he gave a speech basically saying autism's through the roof. Autism can be very debilitating, and we need to find out why it's going up so fast. And apparently that is a fucking giantly bad statement to make because every Democrat came out against this today. And we have people grifting, people that have high functioning autistic kids are coming out going, oh, he said my kid can't play baseball. Here he is playing baseball. Congrats, your kid can play baseball. But there's a lot of kids that can't.
Yeah, yeah.
You selfish piece of shit.
Right. And it doesn't mean that this massive increase in autism isn't a problem just because your kid has a job.
You know, it's not just autism. We have childhood obesity going crazy. We have, because of that, we now have colon cancer in 20 and 30-year-olds, which never happened. We have testosterone plummeting. We have testosterone so low, and then they wonder why their fertility is so bad, and nobody's dating, and nobody's getting married, nobody's having families. It's because everyone's so unhealthy. Because healthy people want to go out and find a mate and have sex and make a family, but unhealthy people don't because they're unhealthy.
Yep. And healthy people are happier. Healthy people do everything more.
And unhealthy people are going to have fucked up hormones, and they're going to be more susceptible to wondering if their friends are right when they tell them that maybe they're a different gender. And also, unhealthy people are more likely to go to that therapist and say something just isn't right. The chemicals in my brain, it's just my brain. It's not my choices and my lifestyle and my obesity and my poor diet. It's definitely my brain. I need a pill for that.
Yeah, please give me a pill to make me feel good even when I should feel bad.
So the party of science says, don't you dare look into this issue on why people aren't healthy because it's not inclusive enough.
Yeah. And also, you know, the big pharmaceutical companies and stuff, they don't want RFK messing with the good grift they've got going. Yes. And so I think that
they got it made.
They put out articles in leftist rag magazines and they get the leftist sheep to be against RFK. They don't know why, but you know,
they got it made.
Pfizer's funding it.
They have the burden of all their R&D on the taxpayer, not on research, nothing. They have that all on the middle class that when they go to buy a drug, it costs just thousands of dollars a month. But if you go to Canada or Mexico, it's $5 because then they could sell it in bulk there because they're already getting such a high premium off the American taxpayers. But we can't buy it from Canada or Mexico because they buy off our politicians, and our politicians say we can't.
Yeah.
So we're the ones stuck with the burden while the rest of the world lives off of this.
Yeah.
They got it made, and they're paying off our politicians, and there needs to be arrest. Pam Bondi needs to get off her ass.
Yeah.
Kash Patel needs to go and put his fucking mouth where his money is, and they need to get this shit sorted out.
No shit.
Very fast.
Yep.
You're running out of time. There's only 3 years left. You're already losing the faith of the American people. People don't like this tariff trade war. They don't like seeing the 401ks go down. You are losing the goodwill of the people. You guys won the majority of the vote, and you're wasting it because you're a bunch of cowards.
Yeah, we've got this great mandate. Go arrest some people.
Yes.
Fix
the
these institutions.
The mandate's almost gone. Nate, we've shown some clips where the media is overhyping how mad people are because they're making people mad because they're showing that one side. But eventually it's going to work. There's only so much people are going to be inundated with that where they're going to ignore it. They're eventually going to get broken down. They're going to go, yep, they're right. And then the mandate's gone. And then the midterms come and you lose the House and you don't expand the Senate. And then you're already looking towards, well, maybe we could sneak JD in there. And at the same time, you can't rock the boat at all because now you have to go back to the centrists and say, no, we're really not out there, and we're really not extreme, and we're not far right. Well, they have the chance right now to show that extreme is needed and it works.
Yeah.
But they're fumbling the ball so bad, and it's going to push back. It's going to push back conservatism decades.
Yeah, they need to go for the touchdown and just go all in and just do what they can right now.
And this is obviously completely opposite of what I've been telling you guys for the last couple of months. I've been saying how Democrats are screwed, all this. Well, the Republicans are fucking fumbling it, and they're ruining a good thing, and they better get their shit together. Pete Hegseth is supposed to be out. The NPR already said that Trump's looking for a replacement of him. What's that going to do? That already then hurts the other rock stars that we're supposed to have.
Yeah.
And that hurts the mandate. Hegseth is supposedly out by the end of the week.
Is he out? I haven't heard that. Why?
That's because NPR is saying he did.
Because
he
the
had another
signal thing?
leak. He had another one. Do you know what? I don't like Hegseth anyway because he's bombing the Houthis. Why are we bombing the Houthis? That has nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
That's not our shipping lanes. Let Europe worry about that.
Right.
They're not going to come and attack us.
Quit
Houthis
fighting
are
Europe's
not going
wars.
to attack anyone in the contiguous 48 states. They're not going to get anywhere near us. Leave them alone. My taxpayer dollars should not go towards that. Get the fuck out of here, Hegseth.
Yeah.
And just get somebody that's actually America first in that position.
Right. And a strong national defense.
Yes.
That's what we need.
Fuck Hegseth. I hope he's out. It's going to hurt the credibility of the rest of Trump's cabinet.
Yeah, that's what sucks about it.
Yep.
Because it
It
looks
is.
like, why'd he choose this bad pick?
And it looks like it's working. It looks like the media then using these attacks works. And they're not going to come around like they acted like they were going to. They're just going to turn that. They're going to now see this more as a cornered animal. They're going to attack way more.
Kenobi says they bomb the Houthis, but not the cartels who are direct enemies.
The
of
cartels
us.
that are actually affecting, it has a chance to affect American life, and that does. But they're going after the Houthis because Europe can't stick up for itself, and apparently we're just still Europe's lackey. Even though they're the ones that are calling us their enemies, and they're attacking us and saying how we're no longer allies, but we're still fighting their battles because of Hegseth.
Right. Yeah.
Good
that's
job.
fucked up. That is fucked
hope
up.
he's
We
out.
need to
Fuck.
fix these things.
Yep. I hope he's out.
Yeah. All right. Let's listen to RFK talk about making America healthy again.
As well, autism destroys families. More importantly, it destroys our greatest resource, which are our children. These are children who should not be suffering like this. These are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed because of some environmental exposure.
Oh, dude, that's one of the saddest things
yeah.
is how many parents say,
hear
like,
this?
my baby was crawling and laughing.
Not only do they say that, they show videos. They show videos of like their 1-year-old or their 6-month-old babbling and playing and messing around with its siblings. And then something happens.
Well, those are the videos and the parent testimonies that most make me go like, hey, maybe it's the vaccines, because the parents often say it was right after we went and got the X, Y, and Z shot or the 15th one or
And
whatever the fuck.
The government, if it is, they got to tell us. They got to tell us. They got to say, here's the risk reward analysis that, yes, your kid isn't going to get polio or whatever it is. But there's some dumb vaccines too. They give hepatitis C vaccines to kids, and they give, they're giving stuff like the kids that, like, if the mom is in a committed relationship with a committed husband, these kids don't need. They do the eye drops right when they're born too, and they act like you just can't go without it. But even putting that aside, every single drug or intervention that works has potential side effects. To act like it doesn't is insane.
Yeah.
As free adults, we should have all the information to say there's a 1 in whatever chance that this could cause a reaction that could lead towards autism in people that are genetically disposed. What they can't be doing is just lying to you.
No shit.
And SIDS, maybe it even has relation to SIDS. As we're kids, there's the old fairy tale about the village that has the dragon, and the dragon won't destroy the village as long as once every 10 years they feed it a kid. That's that old village. It's almost kind of like that. If they're not telling us that this leads to SIDS or if this leads to autism, if they're not telling us that, what's the difference? They're doing the same thing.
Yeah, they're sacrificing the kids.
Yes. They're looking at the population going, yes, kids are going to die or be injured, but all in all, it's me better. So it's the greater good. We saw that with COVID. We know the COVID vaccine gives, especially young, healthy males, it gives them a chance of getting some very, very serious pericarditis, heart disease, which is, they try to downplay it. They still act like, well, COVID could give it to you. Well, not as much as the vaccine. Well, it's mild. There's no such thing as mild. COVID vaccine has definitely killed some young, healthy kids. They need to not lie to us, especially when they keep asking, like, why is no one believing the experts? Because you guys lied to us over and over.
Right.
You guys looked
You've
at this
proven
and said,
we can't trust you.
Yes. You guys looked at this and either said, this is going to give us more money or this is going to help more people than it hurts. But that is not your decision to make. As free Americans, that is every American's choice to make, not the government's on your behalf like they're trying to do.
Yeah, we have bodily autonomy.
They wouldn't tell us. They would not tell us if the vaccines have anything to do with autism. But what I can tell you is that there are studies showing that young infants that have a high fever are at a greater risk for autism, especially if it is neonatal. So if it's in the mother's, if it's gestational, where the mother gets a high fever, for sure they know
that increases the risk of autism.
You a study on that.
I see. And
you can just pull it up. Other one, what are the side effects of childhood infant vaccine? A high fever. That is one of the absolute proven given risks of a vaccine to a kid is a high fever. So we know that could give a high fever, and we know high fever in neonatal in babies could lead to autism. So to act like there's no link is just crazy. And to act like even more so we shouldn't look into it is even more crazy.
That's what I don't like. And then on top of it, just in my overall opinion on the medical institutions and the pharmaceutical institutions basically couldn't be lower. Not only do I not trust them, I distrust them. I think that they would kill you for $1. Like, that's how I feel about them. And I think they've proven that over and over.
They lied about fentanyl. They told you it wasn't addictive, and it's so addicting. They went to physicians and paid them to say it's not addicting. Give fentanyl instead of giving other narcotics. They lied about narcotics too and say they're non-addictive. They did that knowing they were addictive. It's proven in court that they knew they were addictive, but it's about the bottom line. They're going to make money by killing you because they don't give a shit about you.
Yeah. Johnson & Johnson was putting something in their baby powder that caused cancer.
Yeah, they knew it was causing cancer.
Yeah,
and none of that. The Moderna that makes the COVID shot. Ironically, a weird coincidence, they start making a drug for swelling of the heart. What are those odds?
Yeah.
They want you to get the swelling of the heart. They just don't want to attribute it to them because then now you're taking a pill from them for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And I think it's one of the most naive attitudes that the average American holds, where they go, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. They don't want you to be sick. They're healthy. They want to help people and make them healthy. It's like, you're naive. You are ignorant to the massive lawsuits that these companies have already lost, what they've done for years to people. Oh, I can't hear you, Garrett. Yeah, your mic's. But yeah, these institutions and pharmaceutical industry has proven that they will sell you out for $1. So I think that people are naive to trust them at all.
All right, I'm back. Yep. Yeah, I got to replace that cord there. But and why are they afraid? Like, why should any scientist be afraid? Science is supposed to be impartial and it's supposed to be reproducible. That's the whole thing. You have a double-blind study, and the biggest thing is reproducible over and over again. He's saying we might need to study this, and everyone's like, no.
Right.
This is settled. Science is never settled. It's supposed to be tested over and over.
Yeah.
Why are people so afraid to have this be tested?
Dude, that's one thing that the Democrats need to pull their heads out of their asses and stop trying to be like, why are you asking questions?
Yeah. If you're supposed to be the party of science, for one, but also they were supposed to be the party, the curious party that says, why? And now they don't want.
Now they're the censorship party.
And it's all because of COVID.
Yeah.
All because of COVID. COVID happened, and they wanted to just hook, line, and sinker just think, yep, this is what we need to be done. We got to stay home.
They want to make it illegal to ask questions about it. I mean, their absolute went so far the wrong way. It's unfucking real.
40% or something like 60% of liberals wanted kids taken away from their parents if they didn't get them the COVID vaccine.
Yeah, psychos, dude. They're just assholes.
Obi says, when you make $500 billion and pay $10 million fine, it's worth lying for them. That's exactly it. They knew, but they went and took the calculator out and said, whatever, we'll have $1,000 or we'll have $1 billion fine and we'll plead it down to 500 million. But this fentanyl that's killing millions of people, we're going to make $1 trillion on it.
Yep. Kenobi also makes this point. He says, we just got our government letter for vaccines for my 6-month-old. Probably because they know he's not vaccinated. They said he should have 19 vaccines. But see, that's the other thing about him. It's like 30 years ago, it was like 6 vaccines. Now it's 28. I mean, it's just crazy. And then and that's another thing that the liberals or the fucking super vaccine lovers, they go, oh, it doesn't matter how many. It's like, how do you know that? Why not? It seems just on common sense, like stressing the immune system that much might be a mistake. It might cause some problems, you know? And so there just needs more investigation, which they should be for, and which is, I think, what RFK is going to do.
Yeah.
Should we let him keep going, Garrett?
Yeah, it's the important part here.
Exposure into autism when they're 2 years old. And these are kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted.
Yeah, I mean, it completely
and
ruins
we have
lives.
to recognize we are doing this to our children, and we need to put an end to it.
Wow.
So that
pretty powerful.
people are going crazy. So Nate, you think he was saying there, every single kid that's autism won't be able to play baseball? You think that's what he's saying?
That's not what I heard.
Yeah. That's what liberals are saying. They're saying, my kid plays baseball. Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you, you privileged idiot.
Right. I guess autism's not a problem then.
You got yours, so screw all the other kids with autism.
Yeah.
And there's this weird thing, too, where they act like you don't love your kid less, but you obviously want your kid to be, you want them to reach their maximum potential. And you want them to be healthy. And they also act like if you're looking for something, that you should be ashamed. And it's the exact opposite. You want what's best for your kid, and you want to do everything you could do in your power to make life better for them.
Of course.
But they're acting like it's an evil thing to be looking into this.
Right.
But
it's crazy.
Also, we see this too with like ADHD and ADD, and the big one now is the multiple personalities. But we see this too where you'll hear leftists say everybody should be going to a therapist. Yeah, go ask a therapist how many people they've cured. How many people did they start and say, you know what, you don't need therapy anymore? It's going to be 0. And that's a forever thing.
Right.
And man, I think that obviously there's cases where a therapist probably helps people get through something, especially an acute thing, a short-term thing. But man, whenever I'm talking to somebody and you can tell they're using the new current popular therapy speak, my red flags go up.
Me too. I think mostly that's not good.
What about your lived truth?
Yeah,
and it's just like, oh man,
you know.
I'm not. And they'll do something real shitty to you, and they'll say, "Well, I'm not responsible for how you feel, Nate." Yeah, you are, because you're a shit person. So yeah, you are responsible for that.
You know,
I'm not responsible for how you react.
I kind of agree with the point you made, I think, which is that like sometimes I think psychology and going and seeing a psychologist can be helpful. Yes. Maybe you've got some past trauma you can work through and stuff. I'm not against that.
No.
I think that's fine. But I have this funny thing where I think that the Scientologists nailed it with their hatred of psychiatrists.
Yes.
Scientologists hate psychiatry.
You know, if they took the cult part out of it and just their system, they call it ruining, is what they do. They try to like break you down type of thing. If you took the cult stuff out of it, they're probably better than the average psychologist.
Oh, probably. Well, and the psychiatrists, because psychiatrists are big pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, you're
which
right.
is I'm super against pharmaceuticals in general. I just think they don't help. I think they're bad. They're worse than anything. So Anyway, I think psychiatry as a whole is probably a terrible
and even like
organization.
psychology. I think talking to somebody for a lot of people is probably good. But if you try to just say everybody should, that's terrible. Kind of the same as like an SSRI. There's probably people that in the short term that need a Valium. But to then expand that and say everybody should take Valium every day is an insane idea.
Yeah.
And it's basically saying the same thing.
Yep. Okay, let's go over these stats. I wanted to show this. CDC now reports 1 in 31 children in U.S. have autism. In 1970, it was 1 in 10,000. Then in 1980, it was 1 in 3,000. Okay, look at these numbers. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, you know why though, right?
Yeah, I do, because we're testing better, right?
Yeah, they're just testing better.
Yeah, now
even
we
though
can test.
In the year 2020, in the year between 2020 and 2025, it's just gotten that much better. That there's like a giant increase in the last 5 years.
Yeah, we are great at detecting
what a
it.
Stupid thought.
I
You can
know.
even see it in the kids today. Like you look at 100 kids. Think back to when you were a kid going through public school. There's 100 kids. There were a couple kids that needed some extra help, or they would get called to the office to take their daily pill. But it's nothing like we're seeing right now.
No, it's worse.
Obviously, that's not the whole story of just, well, it's better. But go back to those 2 tweets I sent you. They're both from.
Which ones?
Nope. It was after the after he was talking. Look at this. Rashida Tlaib, RFK. These children will never write a poem. My son is a published author at 15 years old. He is on his 3rd book. Yeah, there's a lot that aren't. There's a lot that can't write. There's a lot that can't talk.
What a stupid point these Rashida Tlaib is trying to make.
With this. I sent you another one, Elizabeth Warren.
And she's trying to say, gotcha.
Yeah, that's a gotcha. Because that's what he said. Every single kid with autism can't do that.
Yeah.
That's obviously not what he said. Elizabeth Warren, and we can't bring up, it's no big deal. No, but that one's a pretty funny one too. But she had another tweet going after him too. But you'll go to that last video. Go left one. Play this too. This is kind of this feeds into what we were talking about a bit too.
Okay, let me make sure this is up. Okay.
To hear how so what metrics would you guys point to?
Fast.
Yeah, I'd say to the reporters in the room and the lobbyists in the room.
I think you're in the middle.
Obviously, make your case.
Congress.
Is that funny? Is that not true? I'd love to hear how. So what metrics would you guys point to?
Fast.
Yeah, I'd say to the reporters in the room and the lobbyists in the room. I mean, obviously, make your case, but I'd truly ask for, as you're making it, a little bit of humility about what the voters were trying to say by putting Bobby Kennedy Jr. in this position of power. I would a little bit of humility to ask why Bobby Kennedy, along with President Trump, are the 2 most popular political figures in America by far. What the voters are trying to say, and I think they were right, is that the system is really on the wrong track. The NIH, whose goal is to promote American health, has overseen a devastation, just an abject devastation in American health over the past 20 years, with disease rates skyrocketing in America, leading the world of almost every single chronic disease, with rates of nearly every single chronic disease being at an all-time high among kids. There's been very little innovation with small pharma, with innovative therapeutics at the FDA. It costs $1 billion to get through the process. CMS is an agency that's much larger budget than Defense Department, that's controlled by the American Medical Association, which is a pharmaceutical lobbying group and is almost predominantly sick care. So there's real problems, and when you turn on CNBC, it's just a nonstop. It's a nonstop infomercial for pharma. It's a Sky Rizzi commercial followed by Scott Gottlieb saying how Bobby's killing people, followed by a breathless coverage of the measles outbreak and no mention of
But Callie,
the mental health crisis.
How does cutting a bunch of HHS solve that problem?
It is insane for you to insinuate that the thing standing between us and better health is more government bureaucrats. Like
That's
is
not what I meant.
demonstrably
That's
insane.
not what I'm
That is what
insinuating.
everyone's saying. It is absolutely insane to insinuate that it's some crime.
It's not all
Peter
bureaucrats.
Marks,
It's a lot of
that-
scientists. It's researchers. It's people who are making.
Oh, well, they're doing a great job.
Yeah, great. Like what he's saying is, look at the track record. We've never been sicker.
They suck. That's what she's
do another-
making the point that I hate, where people say like, "Oh, they're doctors, they're scientists."
yeah.
Really?
They're
Why are we
experts.
so sick?
Yeah.
They suck.
They failed us. They failed us
Yes.
over and over. And now they're obstructionists too. They don't want to look into what's making people sick.
They're
They don't
making
wanna
more
do
money
that.
than ever.
They don't want to be told that it's our food and it's our shit.
Yeah, they're all-time high profits. Now let's read these comments. Kenobi says, I don't understand how anyone is against looking into our autism problem in children.
Doesn't make sense.
No shit. You have to be evil or just deranged to not want to find the cause of this. These are our children. Boxbar!
Hey!
Boxbar says, these people are probably happy their children are victims of autism. Now they can call them heroes for having a mediocre life, and it's not a failure on their parenting for these kids not getting a future.
Yeah, my kid with autism made 3 weeks. Also,
plus
you know how much easier it was to trans my kids
Yeah.
when they have autism?
No
Man,
shit.
it was a breeze. I just told them. I told them, hey, you like dresses, right? This is pretty. It was easy.
Yeah.
It was so easy.
You know how big of a prevalence of the trans people being autistic is? It's like
huge
super
number.
high.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of the trans are just autistic people that a psychiatrist got their claws into. That's all it is.
Do you know what's an interesting point he made there? There's 2 of them too that kind of, as he's lambasting the media, that we got to. So he said like small pharma, because of the government. I've brought up this point ad nauseum when it comes to COVID, how the Walmarts wanted to everyone else. They wanted to be expensive to be open. Well, pharma, let's say you found a drug, Nate, that cured anything. Take your pick. Your odds of getting that cleared are big.
You cut out again, Garrett. Right at basically.
Oh, no.
You're
You
back.
hear me right now,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Who's got $1 billion? Not small pharma. It's big pharma. That $1 billion that he's talking about, the reason they have to do that is because you have to get through the bureaucrats. You got to go and you got to give your drug to the FDA to go get it cleared. That's not cheap.
Right.
So if you go and you make a drug that works, nothing. It's going nowhere. You can maybe, if you're lucky, you could sell it to a big pharma. But only that. And it's funny too. They say big pharma comes out, or the FDA comes out and says, great news, everybody. We've got a drug that's going to save 50,000 people a year from heart attacks. They've killed 50,000 people a year where it was hung up in pointless bureaucracy rather than giving people, or let's say cancer. Cancer is a better one. Let's say you have stage 4 cancer. And all the time they say, we have a new treatment for stage 4 cancer that gets cleared. Well, yeah. Well, these people have.
You cut out again.
Why are you not letting them test this before they died? But it's held up. So instead of saving 50,000 people a year, they killed 50,000 people a year.
Yeah, yeah. There's so much red tape. And often it's, I mean, I literally think that they would prevent the cure-all drug.
Oh, for sure. There's no money in that.
Yeah, people should not think of these companies as good companies. They're evil. They fucking
Do you think
suck.
pharma makes more money off a healthy kid or an autistic kid?
Oh, an autistic kid for sure.
It's going to be times 100, right? At least.
Yeah, and I think that they will purposefully do what they can to get more patients.
Yes.
So,
just like
our system is so fucked up.
They absolutely know what's killing the bees. They always talk about that. What's killing the bees? They know. They're not telling us. They basically admitted they know. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to turn out they know what's causing autism.
Yep. Okay, speaking of that, let's play some more of this speech from RFK. This is a good little clip.
So Americans can understand what is happening with chronic disease in this country in real time. And I'd have to wait 2 years to react. We don't wait 2 years to react to a measles epidemic, and we should not, or any kind of infectious disease. We shouldn't have to do that for diabetes or autism. The ASD prevalence rate in 8-year-olds is now 1 in 31. Shocking. There's an extreme risk for boys. Overall, the risk for boys of getting an autism diagnosis in this country is now 1 in 20.
Damn it.
And as high in California, which has the best data collection. So it probably also reflects the national trend, 1 in 12.5 boys.
Okay. I wanted to highlight that. 1 in 12 boys in California gets autism. So they're already right there. They should be able to pinpoint why.
Where do you think the most trans kids come from? It's obviously California, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no doubt about that. But, the 1 in 12 kids, they should be able to go, why is it 1 in 31 in Montana and 1 in 12 in California? Like, what's going on? We need to be able to narrow down some of the factors causing this shit.
There's other ones too. Parkinson's. They know in farming communities, Parkinson's is higher than non-farming communities.
Right.
They need to dive into that more to find out exactly why.
Also,
they
like
also
the
know,
Amish don't get it as much, I think.
Yep. And then like you look at MS is another one. If you're born on the equator, or if you move to the equator before you're 3 months old, your odds of MS are way less than the further away you get from the equator.
Weird.
They got to extrapolate that and figure that shit out.
Yeah. But there's no money in actually figuring it out. So the scientists that are so noble aren't doing it.
Obi says, imagine instead of autism, he replaced the word COVID, how people would react different. Or if this is Obama, if this is Obama saying this, you're not seeing Rashida Tlaib come out and saying this. She's saying, I have a kid with autism, and there's as rewarding as it is, there's challenges, and it's expensive. We got to figure this out.
What an important thing Obama's bringing up.
This is just a red versus blue thing, and they're running with that when it comes to kids' health, which is just evil.
Right, but it makes sense when you realize they wouldn't stand and applaud for a kid with brain cancer because a Republican was introduced him.
And otherwise, that was a black kid with brain cancer who, when it comes to their weird Olympics of who's the most oppressed, he's leading the pack almost.
Yeah.
But because he likes Trump, they can't cheer for him.
Right, no love for him because Trump likes him. It's not even because he likes Trump, because Trump likes him.
Right.
Okay, let's let this keep going. I think he makes a pretty good point in a second. I wanted to show.
This is part of an unrelenting upward trend. The prevalence 2 years ago was 1 in 36. Since the first ADDM report in 1990, which was 1992 births, autism has increased by a factor of 4.8. That's 480%, I believe. The first ADDM survey was 22 years ago, when prevalence was 1 in 150 children. In all the core states, the trend is consistently upward, and most cases now are severe. So about 25% of the kids who are diagnosed with autism are nonverbal, non-toilet trained, and have other stereotypical features, head banging, tactile and light sensitivities, stimming, toe walking, etc.
Well, I wanted to bring up the point. I saw him do, I think in this speech or in a different speech, where he says, when I was in high school in the 60s or whatever, no one in my class had autism. But you could go to any high school class now with the same amount of people, and there'd be 10 people in there.
That's the point I'm making. When we graduated in 2003, back then there's 1 or 2 kids. There's nothing like now. And there's only 1 or 2 kids because we went to school way later than RFK, where it was probably 0, like you said.
You're right. So it's just obviously something very wrong. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that our new Director of Health and Human Services, RFK, is going to investigate it and try to get the bottom of it and try to get something solved.
It's so crazy there's pushback on this.
No shit. And I just want to point out once again that the pharmaceutical companies, the CDC, the FDA, all these organizations suck, and you shouldn't trust them. You shouldn't trust the doctors and the scientists. They've done fuck all except get rich. So I dislike these giant institutions that have not helped. There you go.
Yep.
Okay. Dude, we've got 1 hour and 20 minutes.
I know. We just call it?
Yeah, I think we
probably should. I have a good interview you can play first.
Okay.
It's one of the last ones I sent you. Start way to the right.
I think the last one.
I can still operate it.
You play that one. Man, that one's crazy too. We have a couple crazy ones.
I'll play both these.
Sure. It's not even the one I was thinking of, but this one is just more cool. This is a tech one. It's a quick one.
Okay.
The same way as if it was attached.
Make a move.
Oh, I saw
That
this.
is
Across the
incredible.
table.
I think it
So
started
tell
in the
me
middle.
about-
I hate TikTok. Okay,
yeah.
they're gonna show. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So
These arms that you've got at the moment.
So these are the brand new Hero Pro. We had the Hero Arm, and this is Hero Arm next level upgrade. So they're pretty cool. They're still like 3D printed, muscle operated, but we've got
awesome.
all this extra
Just that's
capabilities
awesome,
now,
but
which
watch
is really,
it.
really cool.
And Joel, you actually designed these. What got you into bionics?
Well, probably playing with Lego as a child. What got me really interested in technology.
come on, this guy was born to make robots or whatever.
Technology that evolved into electronics and robotics, and then I wanted to do something that would have a positive social impact with technology. So got really into bionic hands and prosthetics.
So can you demonstrate a few of the things that you can do? Can you pick up that glass there?
Yeah, so they're all muscle operated.
Yeah, how
I
much
can just
improved is her
control it
life
like that.
through this?
Oh my God! I mean, no arms and no hands to functional.
And you know these are only gonna get better and better. Like I said, they're gonna be having real skin growing around this stuff in no time.
Do anything I want to do.
And are you doing
people-
that with your mind? You're just thinking.
I mean, everything ultimately comes from the brain, but what's really great about these is it's just these two muscle sensors. So it's only squeeze to close, flex to open, cycling through grip modes, and even that becomes second
So
nature.
could you operate that arm when it's not attached to you?
Yes. So that's the thing, and we've posted
This
about
is
it on social
crazy.
media, and that's what everybody is like, this is crazy, mind-blowing.
we've got to see this.
We have
I'll just help to the.
completely wireless, so you can actually just detach the hand like that.
And you're thinking about it.
And I can still operate it the same way as if it was attached. Make a move.
That is
Across the
incredible.
table.
It's changing long distance
I can
relationships
still-
forever.
Dude,
operate
what
it the same way as if it was
I
attached.
know, how cool is that?
Make a move.
That is
Across the
incredible.
table.
This kind of like wireless connectivity is something I hadn't thought about with prosthetics. You know, it's
Yeah,
like,
her life is so improved over that.
and you're right, like long distance. What's the range on that?
Make sure
Okay,
it's charged up.
Yeah. Okay, that's a crazy video. That's cool.
Yeah. God, do you know who this guy is? So we haven't ever talked about that Carmelo
Oh, I know.
Anthony thing at all.
Yeah.
This is like their family spokesman. What's the kid's name that he stabbed? So basically, long story short,
Austin
this kid was
Metcalf.
this guy was in a tent at a track meet that wasn't his. Austin Metcalf came, said, move. He said, no. He said, make me. He touched him and he stabbed and killed him. Austin Metcalf's dad tried showing up to this. Did you see that, by the way? Austin Metcalf's dad, he feels a bit like a grifter to me. I know that everyone deals with grief differently, but he basically was trying to say how this kid's the victim too and not to jump to conclusion.
I wouldn't say that about the kid who murdered my kid.
No.
And you
then
know,
he tried
also
showing up to this.
You know, the thing is that this kid's in the wrong track tent from a different town.
Yep.
Any 17-year-old would say, "Hey, get out of our tent."
Especially when you have a bag there with all your shit in there. His wallet's probably in there.
Yeah. And also, who are you? Get out of our
Yeah.
tent. Okay. The kid refuses to leave. He says something like, "Touch me and see what happens." Apparently, and I don't know the full story. Okay. But this is just what I heard. Austin Metcalf like grabs him and is going to throw him out. And the kid pulls out a knife and stabs him in the heart. Now that's not self-defense.
This guy's
because
lucky.
his life was not at risk
No.
to pull out a knife. So it's murder. It's
It's
not
kinda
self-defense. It's murder. This kid, you know, as far as the story that I know, this kid should go to prison for the rest of his life.
You
You
want to let
ask
him have
me.
a trial. They'll come out in the
Yeah,
trial.
get in a trial. Yeah.
But what's kind of funny is his dad came here, being somewhere he's unwanted, and he didn't stab anyone when they told him to leave. He just left.
Oh yeah, they threw him out, and he didn't stab
Threw him
anybody.
out. So this is the family spokesperson. He makes a really good point here, though. Like if you're an attorney or you're media, you got to look into this.
Okay, I'm gonna listen to this.
You seen this?
No.
I'm trying to find how many of y'all have asked the superintendent or one single board of trustee, why didn't you cancel or postpone? With weather in that magnitude, you couldn't have a track meet in rain or thunderstorm or clouds. Y'all are the media. Ask your journalists, your weather journalists.
What are you getting at, dude?
Of course, the reason they had this, Nate, is because they're racist and they don't care that he was going to stab somebody.
Right.
They care that Carmelo Anthony was going to kill somebody. They could have just went and canceled this because of rain.
It was rainy, and you all didn't cancel the track meet. Were you setting my client up?
Hey, journalists, why are you asking the tough questions? Why wasn't it canceled?
What the fuck?
Look how serious he is when he's saying this.
How the weather was that day and that time. Y'all do that research.
Great point.
Because as a person who is the administrator of yet children, you are responsible for the safety of the children. And so it seems that
this guy, he's like he's doing a book report, but he's like filibustering about some other book. Like, I don't know.
He's doing the Wookiee defense from South Park.
Yeah. Wow. I'll let him finish.
Frisco ISD is trying to push this off.
If they would have canceled the track meet, no one would have been stabbed. Wow.
All right, just real quick. This is whitehouse.gov COVID. They changed it from Fauci's bullshit to the lab leak, just saying this is where it came from. Here's the proof.
God, I mean, God, how obvious was this?
Yeah,
it came from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, where they were studying gain-of-function research on COVID. What a fucking shocker. I thought it was a pangolin banged a bat. Whatever. Garrett, should we call it?
Yeah, let's call it. The other stuff we could save for next week.
I think it was a good show. We had a few technical difficulties.
Yep, thanks for sticking with us.
Yep. Thanks, everybody, for participating.
We'll see you guys Monday the latest, we'll say again.
Little Trump put his picture on there, so it's gonna. You got it. Standing against COVID. That's great. Okay, yeah. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you all next week.
See you guys.
Peace.
Yeah, had to come through and let you know. Keep it locked, this is the Nate and Garrett Show. Talking current events, let the conversation begin. Everything from conspiracies, yeah, I'm talking aliens. Truth bombs that many never knew. We talking politics, everything up to the moon. Was the landing real or fake? I guess you'll never know. Let's talk, this is the Nate and Garrett Show, yeah. So lend me your ear, let's get it poppin'. You know that we keep it live, non-stopping. Educating, entertain, there ain't no doubt. After you listen, you'll be thinking way outside the box. From media dishonesty, never let them play you. Keep it authentic nowadays, many can't do. Unfiltered is how we do it. Make sure you stay locked in and tuned in, let's go. Had to come through and let you know. Keep it locked, this is the Nate and Garrett Show. Talking current events, let the conversation begin. Everything from conspiracies, yeah, I'm talking aliens. The Nate and Garrett Show.